company, because they didn't know this. Oh, we don't know what's going on, you know.
I spoke to Clifford about 6 months ago, and I accept his side of the story in terms of, because I don't want to feel any other way, but there was a lot of very bad blood for a long time.
The fake band changed their name to Stretch and went on to have a hit single. The real Fleetwood Mac eventually secured the rights to their name, but the whole episode prompted an important move for the quartet.
I tried to persuade, initially unsuccessfully, John and Chris that we live in America. Because I said, all we do is come back and we sit, you know, washing our cars and things in the driveway, and nothing's happening here. We can't even get arrested in England. You know, it's like, the Fleetwood who? It was over. It's like...
Come a little bit closer, come a little bit closer, 'cause I remember the time.
Fleetwood Mac sold their house in Britain and moved to California, determined to revive their fortunes after the court case with their former manager. While they were settling in Los Angeles, a young singer who was to play a major part in their story was just beginning her musical career in San Francisco. Stevie Nicks was in a band called Fritz, but being the only woman was not always easy.
People would call up after they saw us a couple of times and say, can we book that band with that little brownie blonde-haired girl? And that would just make them intensely furious. And they would take it out on me. So it was a definite double standard. You know, they didn't treat me very well, but they did pay me the same amount of money that they got, because otherwise I would have quit.
After the draining legal battle Fleetwood Mac had been engaged in, Bob Welch had had enough. He wanted to strike out on his own.
I was just full of anxiety. I was kind of tired of the atmosphere, the sort of rather heavy, stuffy, maybe you could say, atmosphere. And, you know, when you're in a band for 5 or 6 years, you see people every day. You know, I think we were all tired of each other.
You just quit. I'll never know why. He just said, that's it, I'm gone. He was gone.
I felt the clock was ticking on my ability to put out a whole lot of energy for long periods of time. I think it's called something, age.
Fleetwood Mac needed a new guitarist. Meanwhile, Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham had left Fritz and recorded an LP. It failed to take off, and Stevie had to take a job as a waitress to make ends meet. Then, out of the blue, came the offer to join Fleetwood Mac. But the band at first were only interested in one half of the duo.
I was aware of them coming as a package pretty early on, but there was a point where I was truly after Lindsey Buckingham, and the fact that Stevie was an afterthought is why she never forgave me.
How dare this, you know, California bimbo, which is how they looked at me, come in and walk out into the center of our stage and be the lead singer overnight. How dare she? They realized really quickly that I wasn't trying to take anything away from them, and I wasn't. And I really did love them and want them to be wonderful. And I certainly didn't want to take anything away from Chris, because I liked her and I respected her, and she was really nice to me, and she was my only friend.
The band quickly gelled as a unit and recorded the Fleetwood Mac album, producing such hits as Rihanna. While Fleetwood Mac was on the verge of great success, ex-guitarist Bob Welch had formed a band called Paris. It had a very different sound to the old Fleetwood Mac.
Now I might have jumped at priesthood, but I ran into Don Juan. I dropped the claw.
Boy, the first time everybody in Fleetwood Mac heard that, they said, what is this garbage you've done? It's sort of like you've disgraced us with this aberration, with this thing. What if, ooh, you know, get it out of my hands. Oh, they didn't like it at all. And kind of, I must say, I must admit and confess to taking a certain degree of satisfaction in that.
In Fleetwood Mac, the arrival of Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham had musically reinvigorated the band. But when they came to record the multi-million selling LP Rumours, the personal relationships that lay at the heart of their success were close to breaking point.
We'd had a tremendously successful album with Fleetwood Mac, and there we were making the follow-up with everyone basically not talking to each other.
It was really touch and go, because the slightest wrong word from one person could completely throw the session.
Things were happening in lives, you know, and people were going, fuck you, screw you. Well, okay, I'll screw you. You screw me. I think the only ones that didn't have an affair were me and Mick.
When people break up, it's not a pretty picture. It's especially not a pretty picture if you even think that that person might be going to go see somebody else. Or they didn't come down for dinner tonight. Well, where are they? You know, or oh, she didn't answer her phone. Where is she? It was unacceptable.
You can go your own way. Go your own way. You can call it another lonely day.
Rumours took the music scene by storm and became the second biggest selling LP of all time.
Go your own way.
It was a circus.
It was a nightmare.
It's a miracle.
The phenomenal success of Rumours put pressure on the band to come up with a worthy follow-up, a pressure that Lindsey Buckingham felt more than anyone else. They started recording what would become the double album, Tusk.
He was hell-bent that this record would be nothing like Rumours, and it was nothing like Rumours. Mick and Lindsey put a lot of time into making sure it was nothing like Rumours. And then when we went in to do it, suddenly we were in like this wild native burial ground at the top of the sacred mountain in Africa, doing this record called Tusk, with this wild cover with the dog trying to tear somebody's leg off.
We were out of our minds, you know. We were on top of the world. We were fabulously wealthy. Anything we wanted, we could get. We never left the planet, you know, but we tried fairly hard to.
The two girls were getting really, really fed up with going there at 2 in the afternoon and staying up until 6 or 7 the next morning and having to be back there at 2 because they just wanted to live there.
Throughout the late 70s and early 80s, the band embarked on several lengthy and exhausting tours. Fleetwood Mac became a byword for on-the-road luxury.
We had limos for the road managers. 14 limos would meet our plane at the airport. Whole row of them. It was like a funeral.
Stevie would like a grand piano in a room. But it's 9 stories up. Oh, yeah, we'll put it through the window.
Fleetwood Mac traveled on beautiful airplanes, stayed in incredible hotels, had limousines, had anything they wanted. And it was wonderful.
And it was just like a great dark wave within the wave of a storm.
Fleetwood Mac were at the height of their fame, and individual members wanted to pursue careers outside the confines of the band. The first to do so was Stevie Nicks.
3 songs every 3 years wasn't enough for me because I wrote every night.
That's when it started to fall apart, I think. Because of, you know, Stevie wanted to go this way, Lindsey wanted to do this, Chris wanted to do that. And they had the means to do it, i.e. financial. That was sort of the disintegration of the band as a unit.
Stevie's first solo LP, Belladonna, sold over 5 million copies, but it proved to be a bone of contention between her and Lindsey Buckingham.
I took Lindsey in a copy of the record right when it was fresh off the press. And I signed it and said a lot of really wonderful things to him. And I set it up on the console. And he moved it and put it down on the floor